Hello, Tekla friends or even Tekla experts. You are listening or watching again Tekla Podcast, where we are all about practical knowledge, how to raise Tekla efficiency and make it a project with less mistakes or raise the quality. Today we have a guest from Trimble Solutions. Who knows this company? Yes, probably most of you. And then I will not give a really big talk about the company because actually I can. At first it was Tekla, and Tekla was bought from one big company, Trimble Solutions, and now it's part of Trimble Solutions. That was the story. But basically, Tekla is one part of the Trimble Solutions who is developing this amazing software called Tekla. And it's from Finland. And maybe later our guest, I have heard about actually Tekla means something in Finnish language, but I have forgotten it. I more or less record, but maybe our guest later can tell about what means Tekla. So our guest is Juha Nieminen. He's from Finland in the HQ. He's working in Finland area office as a service manager. I hope it's correct. Mostly he gives support, and I think he gives also webinars and teach maybe some Tekla users. So at least I'm very sure that he has very capable Tekla skills. Otherwise, he has helped our area office also. So he's working Finnish area office support, but I know they are very close contact with global support also. So he knows something about the Tekla problems, what we are having, and then some information about them. And something about personal, I know that this is the guy who I have seen when I was working also in Finland. Then this is the guy who comes also working even in winter times with a bicycle and having this big smile on his face. So it's really cool.
Well, thank you, Sten, for having me here. And yeah, I might be a bit crazy. So yeah, I do cycle. I started cycling throughout the year when my wife was doing. She was doing the cycling, and she was cycling much longer period of time than I was. So like, what the heck? It doesn't go like this. And then I started cycling throughout the year. And well, I guess I turned old or something like that. But I just purchased this beginning of the year. I purchased the electric bike, so it's much easier nowadays. And of course, it's much nicer also. To be fair.
Yes, you are in quite good condition and fit. You don't need anymore work so much yourself.
Yeah, although I have started cycling much more actually. Maybe it might be more kind of not that heavy, but anyhow, it's much more kilometers now.
Juha, can you tell a little bit, what I said? What means Tekla and how started your journey with Tekla? How was the beginning? How you get contacted with it?
Well, yeah, Tekla. Okay, there actually might be two stories. Tekla is a Finnish name for a woman. It's not very common. There is one really famous person named Tekla. To be fair, you can Google her, but I can't remember. She was fighting for the equal rights for men and women and something like that. But to be fair, I don't think that's the story behind the company. I think Tekla, officially it was Tekninen Laskenta, so you get the first Tekla there and the end. So basically, it's a technical calculation. Back in days when they used punch cards for the companies, and I think it was a few engineering offices. They couldn't afford they couldn't purchase computers back then, and they kind of combined their forces with this one, and that's how it all started quite a few years ago.
Can you tell a little bit about yourself? How long have you been connected with Tekla and how was your starting?
Well, yeah, it has been quite a long. I think it's already over 13 years. And well, I saw a good-looking ad in it was at some kind of fair. There was this, well, I guess segment manager and currently technology manager or something like this. They were jumping in the picture, and the ad, they were looking for engineers for the support team, and well, somehow they chose me. And well, I've been actually service manager, so I've been running the team for now quite a few years. But yeah, I did have my last training just for the exercise. I had a last training last year, so I was giving the training, but I'm not that actively giving trainings anymore. But there is a really good team in like working, well, not for me, but for the clients. And so they know quite a lot of stuff. And of course, now we're supporting much more products than we were back then. Then it was Tekla Structures. Now it's Tekla Structures, Trimble Connect, Tekla Structural Designer, Tekla Tets, Trimble Wico. We actually started Tekla Power Fab, so it's quite a few software.
What can you tell? What are the most common problems or errors that the user have that they are coming or calling, taking contact with you?
Well, there are quite a few of these, but let's just say, just for the clarity, that if I'm talking about case, I'm referring to those times that the customer is contacting our support team either in Finland or through Estonian representatives or directly. And well, actually, let's just start with this: that I was digging some statistics from 2020, and there was surprisingly few. Estonian clients, they didn't have FlexNet related problems, so there wasn't problems with licensing, which is, to my understanding, it's globally it's much bigger. But there was something like only few persons. Was it even less? Some 2% of the cases what Estonia had, they were related to the licensing, which is really good, I think. But in general level, I think it's every fifth question is about drawings, somehow related to those drawings. And well, that's the similar level in Finland, for example. And of course, well, the topics inside the drawings, they vary quite a lot. So it's difficult. There might be part marks and different annotations, but there isn't any clear one problem with the drawings. And well, yeah, something like 1/3 of those cases that we received, 1/3 of those drawing related questions, they were either feature requests or then we needed to report those as bugs.
How would you say how they divide more or less? How much are the feature requests? How much are the person just don't know how to solve the problem, and the solution was there, and how many are percentage wise of these that are really some kind of small bug?
Well, most of the the issues luckily are so that we can provide information, so that either it's that okay, you were trying to do the wrong way, which is not that often, to be fair, but like, okay, now you have this kind of an issue. Well, if you do it like this, then we can work through it. And if it's like really okay, there's no proper. There are actually two kind of bugs, so to say, that so bugs that kind of really need to be fixed. Well, okay, all the bugs need to be fixed, to be fair, but some bugs that there is no workaround, and then of course there are bugs that there is a way to continue with the more or less convenience workaround. But something like close to 70% then are so that there is we'll just provide the information, or this is now the solution, or you can please check this article and then we can provide you information from there. But luckily there isn't that many bugs for real, so it's kind of a well, I think it was bugs and feature requests. They're like 5% of the cases, but of course that contains already the feature request. So it's usually there might be different companies. They have tons of feature requests, which is of course good because they are active towards us, and we want to hear from the clients that what would they want to have from the software.
Yeah, that much I know that in Tekla has also the some part of the company is like who is taking care of the client like needs what they ask, and something that looks also in the future to come out is like high level or see a little bit future that maybe further where client is not looking still but doing the innovative things.
Yeah, that's true, and we're the support teams and the area offices, we are there with clients, and then there is those guys with heads in their heads in clouds, so they are looking not tomorrow and not maybe day after, but like from year before on forward or even more. So there always needs to be, of course, some pre-planning and development, but of course balancing these resources.
So as today topic is, and I before mentioned also about the slides, as Juha was, as many customer support are busy, and Juha was also busy, then I thought that, okay, I know at least something also. I have some suggestions, ideas how people can minimize the errors, or if they have error, what to do. So I prepared some slides. We go them through quickly, a few ones, and then we continue with the question and answers. So when you have a Tekla error, then what to do? There are some steps that I recommend to do. First of all, like we all know, Google has answers almost for everything. And when I have any kind of problem, I think most of you, then really easy way is to just type the software name and the error code, and you may already find some answers. And yes, Juha, if you feel or you see that you would like to add something, then go ahead and add some comments there. I welcome you. This is only what I have put together, and maybe you have something to add always.
Well, yeah, to be fair, I know some people in the office also prefer, well, not preferring, but often using Google for the search engine. But actually, to be fair with this one, Tekla User Assistance, GUA, and I think you can have the two first links. They are pointing to the Tekla structures.support, etc. It's a good service, but we have actually upgraded and renewed it quite a lot. And well, we're still practicing also with that, but the new address would be support.tekla.com. And the information is still the same, of course, but what I've understood that they have done quite a lot of renovation with the search engine. So I don't know if it beats Google, but at least it's giving the answers definitely from the official platform.
Yeah, definitely. This, like, let's say that in Google you can find this official notes or comments, and the kind of unofficial also from random people. So these random people maybe prefer the official notes before, and then if there isn't coming any solution for your problem, then the unofficial answers would be the second one. The second thing that I usually ask is like if some of my clients connects with me also, then I want to try out like is it what's the fault, where we have to find where is the fault. So is it about the model, is it about the computer, or is it about the software, or where is the problem? So the first thing that I normally do is to try the same thing in other computer, and it would be even better if it's outside from your office, for example. I have a couple of stories here. There was one training that I just lastly gave, and there was with one computer, somehow with one user, the wall seams didn't work, and I was like, I was trying like different kind of, I know how, okay, I was at first looking, is it maybe something that he or she, the user, is doing wrongly, but I didn't found. And then I said like, okay, give me your model and I will test it in my computer and try to find out, because sometimes let's say users find interesting ways how to mess up things. And surprisingly, when I tried this, the same model, everything was the same, the Tekla version was the same, and I tried in my own computer, then it worked perfectly. And so it's like, it was surprising. So in this case, we can see also that most probably it was about the computer. It wasn't about the model. It wasn't about Tekla. And I recommended also for the user to try out the same thing with a new model. Maybe this model and this computer somehow is the problem, but I didn't got the answer. Was it working with a like blank model, the same situation? The same also, anyways, if something goes wrong with the software, then what we are pointing first, the normal is like, software fault is. And I remember when I was working in a engineering company myself, and we had also, I don't remember, I think we got time to time a model error. It closed up and deleted the model, and we were like, what the fuck? All our work goes and we can't do like this. And we were investigating, working with the Tekla support, and in the end the fault was our server. The server was just so old, or something was buggy there, broken, and once we changed the server, then it worked again. So it can be different things. So if you try in another computer, then and it is about the computer, then in many times it can help just to reinstall your Tekla structures, or reinstall, put again the service pack. Maybe something is wrong there, but if it's for sure about the Tekla and the model, then I will continue on the next slide with when we find out that yes, it's still in every computer and with this model. So what we can do next. But the general tip from me is that don't change the Tekla versions or environments in middle of project. So I have seen a lot of different kind of problems when people have just looked at, there is new version, and then they change in the middle. It may happen that nothing bad happens, but I personally wouldn't take this risk and go change the version in middle of the project. And the environment changes also when you open somebody's other model, then there can be this kind of like mostly connected with catalogs. So if you open with another environment, or there is some catalogs missing and the profiles are not inside. So these are the common things also that I have seen, or at least sometimes. Juha, do you have something to add before we are going to these model errors and what to do in this case?
Yeah, for the previous, still actually what we are often asking in the service team, that if there is a problem with some user, and if it's happening, of course, usually it is on a different computer, obviously, but also if it happens with the different all the users in that model, if there's several engineers working for it. But yeah, that's computers and different users. Those are always, kind of variables that we should be aware where they happen. But and you do have the service pack mentioned there on the other side. But I also want to emphasize here that you were talking about Tekla version, that you mean the main version of it. That shouldn't be changed lightly. But also always, of course, the service packs, they are getting released quite often. So we do recommend so that the users would update those service packs. And nowadays we are actually informing super users of each company that we are sending these super user letters. I think that's how it's called. We're sending those that okay, now there's a new service pack released in 2019, 2020, and all these versions. Actually, that's true that changing the Tekla version shouldn't be done lightly in the middle of project, but of course depending on the status of the project and all the the gains that the new version would have. So we have actually, there is an official user support article about this, and so it might be recommended. It shouldn't be done lightly, and not for sure not by accident. But if it was done always starting with the backup and opening a new version, running repair commands, checking the log files, and making sure that the drawings would open, and of course this update or the version change would be done like so that it's organized and everybody's you can't work with the old version in the same model, but basically it should be investigated and decided officially that okay, now it's safe if there isn't too much detailing or drawings or these kind of potential places where the errors could appear. But yeah, it is something. Occasionally, it might something to consider if it's a really long project, for example.
Am I correct that I have got the understanding that the mostly what can happen are with the drawings and then also the components? So in which case then it would be considerable to do the version change, the main version change. It would be that, as I understand, that when the project is early stage and there are not many drawings, or what would you say that if really good features come out like this new version, the patch editor, I really like that, and different kind of like dimensions. When we are talking the latest version, then if the person or the company finds that we really would benefit from these features in this model, then how would you say in which occasion it would be okay still to consider of changing the version in one project and when not?
Well, of course, the earlier there is less potential places to go wrong, so it's the earlier the better. But and if at least in Finnish companies, they have a tendency that they have quite a big setups, so it takes a long time for them to start using the, let's call it a new version. And of course the lead engineers or whoever decides, okay, we want to use this version on this project, so it might be already quite a few years old already at that time. And if the project lasts for like 3 to 5 years, there might be time that, okay, it's already, now you're working with the old software.
And then who don't know what are the service packs, then just in case you mentioned that basically the Tekla version is the same, the feature are the same, just basically these about fixing some bugs, these like if Tekla has found or Trimble has found some like bugs, and then they have fixed, then if there are enough fixes or some amount of fixes, then they give out this service pack, and then it includes these Tekla fixes, right?
Yeah, and bugs and some improvements and all these kind of smaller and not so small things that are released.
So here you can see the basically 5 steps that I had in my mind what you can do when you encounter the error, besides after the looking Google or the support of Tekla structures. So first of all, like they say with computers, have you tried to do a restart? So in this case, I would say, have you tried to do the repairing of the model? Check for the log files. as Juha also mentioned before, that log files many times they give some hints. You have to go these lines a little bit with your finger and find, but many times they give like info about what went wrong. And yes, repairing the model would be the easiest and first step if you can open the model. There can be cases where you can't open the model. Juha, what would you say or recommend? What is your recommendations? How often, anyways, if like they don't have or the user don't know that they even have some errors or problems, and this model repairing can fix some errors, like big major errors that we see, or even the errors that we can't see. What would you say, how frequently you suggest to do this repairing model?
Maybe, well, if I'm saying once a week, it's difficult to remember it, and if I'm saying it twice a week, it's still difficult. So it doesn't take long. So if you do it daily, you can grow a habit for yourself. Every time you go for a lunch, or you end the day, or well, start the day, I don't know, but better to do it often than like, oh yeah, I haven't done it this month, so
this year.
Yeah, that's often, yeah, that's common too.
So about the backups, you can take one step back. I would say that the Tekla is doing all the time to time these backups, and what it does is we have these database files that includes basically Tekla model, and then when you save a new saving, then Tekla, how to say, like renames the old database with the back file or backup file, as I have understood. So, and if you have a problem, then I would say that you take these current files, db1 and db2 file, and put it to some safe place, let's say some other archive folder in case you need. And then these files where you have like db1 and .back in the end, then you can just delete this back, and so it becomes the new database file, and the same for database 2. So this way you can step one step back and see the last version.
This is correct for us to start with. Yeah, this is, if you want, you can with the current one, you can just the db1, and if it's okay, there's something wrong, just type something at the end, and then remove the back, as you're saying here. And well, we have a couple of excess variables if you want to start playing with these, but basically there is a possibility to have these multiple of these bug files. So you don't need to have only the last save, but you can also have God knows how many saves you want to, but it's kind of only true false. So it's always creating a bug 1, bug 2, bug 3, and so on. So you would need to manually delete the old ones. But of course, I think you can create a script. And the other one actually is that, okay, this is a bit of a heavy one. I think you can define the model backup directory. So then it takes the whole folder and puts it to a location where you want to have it.
That is very useful to have this like model backup, entire model, maybe some that includes also, let's say, drawings, and then some setting files, templates, and so that would be even quite good option to consider.
Yeah, but that's, well, in a big model, that's a big file to have, of course. But with model sharing, if you're working with model sharing, there's always a possibility to go as everybody's well, it's not related to the saving, but if you're doing a write out, then it adds a package to the cloud. So there you can always go and select the package you want to join.
And so my next backup thing, or how can we save the day, is Autosave. But I have to mention that Autosave is useful only when when you are opening the model and the model will not open. So in these cases, the autosave comes to handy, and something to keep in mind that in options we can change how frequently these autosaves are done. There are modeling commands, and if you're doing, for example, I have in the screen 30 modeling commands or editing commands, then it don't mean that if you take a column tool and you make 30 columns, then it will not do the autosave. It makes the autosave when you use different tools, like you switch the tools, different commands. And also with the drawings, if you're working with drawings, then it counts only creating of drawings, not editing the drawings. So that's something that I have noticed to keep in mind. And some advanced options that I brought out here also is that I know that you can choose into what directory you want to do these autosaves, and also keep autosave files on exit when you're not saving. This is by default also true. And here are seen what kind of files it does when it autosaves, and these are let's say basically database files. It's not doing like whole model autosaving. So this is something that to keep in mind also. But that brings me to the next point, that is I always recommend to do. I have also this kind of like backup, and we have when you again Google, then you can find different kind of solutions of doing backups, and this is something that we take the server and then make this like copy to some other place, and there are some kind of like extension also. I to be honest, I haven't tested it out from warehouse backup model, but there is some extension. And I, for example, myself, who is a small company, let's say, so is using Google Drive. So all the time when I'm doing something, then a backup or this kind of like copy goes also to the Google Drive. And I think for just in case, one time I was running, I went to eating, and then later after eating, I went in restaurant, I went to bus stop, and I was in bus stop and feel like, oh, it feels quite light, and I don't know, something is wrong. And then I thought, oh, I forgot my laptop to the restaurant. So of course I ran back, I got it back. But after that day I was thinking, whatever happens with my laptop, then it's gone. If it gets stolen or the hardware, something happens or whatever, then it's good to have at least time to time do this kind of like backups. It can be automatical or it can be manual also.
Well, yeah. Well, as you said, that's you need to evaluate that if you can afford to lose the whole computer, or what kind of a risk are there. So definitely I would recommend all kinds of automatic or semi-automatic backups. Again, so I haven't need to worried about, because working in Trimble Solutions, they have an awful lot of backup systems running there. But for all the the smaller ones, it might be worth considering, just to make sure that if the laptops get stolen, or if the hard drive, or basically when the hard drive breaks down.
And that brings to our last point, that in my list, if you have tried everything and your ideas are like over, and you don't see that you can't solve the problem yourself, then I suggest to contact with the Tekla support, but I would leave it to the last, because if you have a problem, then you probably, if you can like solve this problem yourself, then probably it's quicker way to solve it. And many times I have heard myself also that if some of my clients have sent me an email, and then at the time when I open the email and I respond to the email, then they say, yeah, we found ourselves already this solution. So solving yourself is always a faster way, and let's hope that better way to solve. But if you can't solve the problem yourself, then you have to contact with the Tekla support, or would be you contact with local support, and then if they know, they answer themselves, and if not, then they ask from higher forces or higher powers. But something to know that your Tekla model should not be done or even saved with the piracy. So some subcontractor, I know one company had a subcontractor, and this subcontractor was using pirate version, and then they had the problem, the company itself, that it's really legit and really okay, everything they are using Tekla real licenses, and then they sent this model to the Tekla support, and support said like this model has been done with the pirate version, and I think there are some next steps that come there. So and then in the end, some Tekla warehouse tools that I found, and this is on the left side, there is some problem that I have seen time to time in social media, that people are asking to help with this like OpenGL rendering fix, and then time to time it's good to test your graphic cards because many times it can be about the graphic cards also something. Is it not good enough, or is it broken? Or just run the test and see the results. Juha, what would you say that if a person wants to contact to a support, local support, then first of all, who can contact? Is it every person, random person can contact to the support, or who can contact to the support? Let's say so.
Well, clients with or under valid maintenance agreement, they are eligible to contact.
Yeah, and every area office had their own like local office that who speaks most probably local language. So in that sense, it's better to connect with the local support also.
Yeah.
What would you say about how to ask the help, so-called? Like, should we give the version number? Should I send the whole package of my model? Should I send only some files, some log files? Should I send some pictures? So what would be your, like, it wouldn't go, if I want to avoid this back and forward the conversation, that I say like, Juha, we have some error in my model, and then you ask like, okay, please send me your model, or please introduce where do you have this problem, or what would you say that would help the most, or make the, let's say, life easier for you to find the problem, and then for, of course, to find the solution faster?
Yeah, well, it's good to start with the Tekla structures version, and preferably also the service pack number. And of course, environment, whether it's, even if it's your company owned, doesn't matter. And kind of, okay, these are going into details then, but role and the configuration, or the license. And people don't often mention it, but if it's kind of we might need to read between the lines, but if it's a single user, multi-user, or model sharing models. And well, if it's really like weird, it might be useful to mention the operating system and the update.
But what would you say, is it necessary to send some pictures? Of course, the description about the problem, or sending the model. Do you prefer to get with every ticket or every problem the model to test it yourself, or you prefer that if it's needed, then you will ask the modeler?
Yeah, to be fair, we often, it might be the most convenient if we could give it a try with that specific model. And well, you don't need maybe always to add it there, but of course, if you're using the support tool in Tekla, it is automatically actually adding or zipping that model that you have there. If you have the problem at hand, you can just take it there and contact Tekla support. It will send it to us, and it will zip even quite a few gigabytes of file models into, and they will send it to us. It doesn't consume the bandwidth or anything like that. It takes it on the back. So it's really useful for this one. But anyhow, even with the email and typing, please try to make it as a thorough. And if you have the step by steps, what did you do and what happens, Okay, and a picture. Okay, this is what's happening, and well, I don't know if you can create such a picture that you would want to have this kind of a result. So it's kind of a, the pictures tell more than 1,000 words. And if I may ask, it not goes into the nitty gritty, but try to add them as attachments and not embedded to the text, because we have these meetings where the whole team is staring in a picture and we're assuming it's inside the email. So it's like, what is it trying to show there? It can be difficult. So images and attached, and I know a couple of clients that they have videos. They are recording a video. So it's not they are reporting some bigger issue, or they want to show something. So they have started recording videos. You can have it with audio or without audio, but anyhow, if we have this luxury of seeing the live video, like, now we get it. And it's much easier also for us if we are reporting for this or whatever tickets we are reporting forward. The live video, it tells a whole story. So I don't ask, or I don't assume that everybody would start sending videos or sharing those, but anyhow, that's of course a really brilliant way to tell the issue. Quite
Yes,
convenient also, I think, for the client.
exactly. I see the advantage or benefit for both sides. One is who is doing it's most probably much faster than start taking these screenshots, start writing everything nicely, and then or just do the video and then add some notes. So I think it looks much easier to do also and sending. And as you mentioned, it makes big difference for the support also. And then the faster they can understand what's wrong, the faster they can give the solution also if they have.
Yeah. And I don't know, well, everybody can have their own video snapping tools, but I noticed at least my Windows, it should be just normal Windows. If I'm starting the Windows, the start screen, and I type there as a game, and this Windows has this kind of Xbox game bar. I guess people are using it to record their own, if they're streaming their gaming. But I think you can stream your Tekla structures modeling. So well, every time we are releasing a new package update, service pack or the new version, you can go to support.tekla.com, and there's the release notes. And actually it's under, I think it might be under product guides, but anyhow, if you type a release note, you should be able to find it. But there are 3 different kind of release notes actually. There's these general release notes, which are basically for all. And then there's admin release notes, which are intended for the company super users. So if your company has some own environment or setups also, make sure that your company admins or super users, they are aware of those admin release notes. They are kind of a more detailed and something that the average user don't need to check maybe. But and also the third one actually is the localization release notes. And I know at least the Finnish area office, we have started, improving our work in this area, and we are creating these environment specific release notes, that whatever we have done in Finnish environment, in this case, we have been reporting it there with quite a lot of details on it. And I know at least the US environment has, might be France also, they have reported something, I think, but worth checking anyhow.
Yeah, the same we are doing in Estonia. I'm helping the Estonia area office, and we are giving we get also feedback about the companies, and they are telling different kind of like improvements or updates, what they are looking for, what they need, because I'm missing sometimes also something, and then when we give a new package out, then we we have this documentation file where we write out that, okay, with this version, we did these improvements, and I try to keep them as short as possible and clear as possible, because people are lazy and they don't have time for reading too much. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Juha, from your experience, do you have any more, besides what we have talked, how to avoid different kind of Tekla errors? Do you have any ideas or tips that you would give besides of doing repairs and don't change the environment and version too easy?
Don't make cuts or fittings just in line with the object you're cutting or fitting. So it has diminished a bit, but it is likely to cause solid errors, so to say. Anyhow, it's trying to cut the surface that, it's trying to cut surface that there isn't actually at, if we go into maths. So it's trying to do something really, really bad or difficult. And of course, they have developed this, but anyhow, it might cause under the hood, it might cause problems. And also, if you're lucky, you realize that, okay, now my object disappeared. Well, then you just need to change the cutting itself a bit, and it can heal, so to say, heal the object, so to say, or the solid. And well, don't open the model with this so-called wrong environment. Of course, we often do it in the service because we don't have the company environment, so to say. But try to use the correct environment for that version, for that project. And well, anyhow, this is just causing the log files that they get floated with unnecessary lines. So they don't tend to be that serious, but there might be serious stuff inside the log files, and then you don't realize it there. And well, this might be more for the user, like helping yourself, that learn the difference between the selection switches. We have like two of those green buttons there and two blue ones at the bottom, and it makes a life a lot easier if you know the difference between them. And so you might create a component, but then delete only parts of it. So there's a component is there, but it's kind of a missing half of the parts that it is supposed to have. And if, for example, if you explode the component, then the component might have created rebars and objects and cuts and fittings and points and whatever lines. So, and then if you delete some of those, then there is this kind of objects with missing some further part, and well, those will appear in the log files. And well, in general, I know Tekla is a complex software and it's not that trivial, but try to know what you do. If there's something happens, and what did you do? Well, I did something. So it's not a good place to start with.
Yes, that have happened with me also several times when I'm giving training. Then one moment there is mess, and then I ask, what happened? I don't know. I just had this mouse, and then maybe I typed something, but I'm not sure what. And then I'm like, okay, let's start seeing what happened there.
One, actually, now that you mentioned the touching the mouse, is that if you have the normal mouse itself, but you have the roll in the middle, and if this rolling, it is also considered as a third button. But if you can tilt it, the roll left and right, it has caused Tekla to crash really, really rapidly. So check your mice if the rolling wheel is tilting left and right. Beware of be aware of it, so that if that is crashing Tekla structures, it might be because of that. So you need to remove that features from the mouse. It's the mouse driver or something like that.
Cool. I will test it out
Yeah.
with my mouse.
Yeah, it's not weekly problems, but it has been a couple of times. Like, what did you do? I touched the mouse. So, and user doesn't usually they don't know that they are tilting the wheel. And I try not to do it also. Well, I don't think I have that feature in my mouse, but it's something.
Something that I remembered now also is these I call them black boxes or black windows. Is when you're working with Tekla, then down there comes these black windows, and I remember myself also at first I was closing them heavily because it's a spam for me. I don't want this spam, and actually you should leave them open because these are behind the scenes running macros, and as I have understood correctly, then Tekla will run this macro, and he assumes that these macros or these boxes are still open, and if you close them manually while you are using Tekla, then I think it can have some problems also. If you close the Tekla and your project and then they're still open, then it's okay to close. But the middle of using Tekla, I think it's not very wise of closing them. Is it true, Juha?
Yeah, basically that's how it goes. I don't think if you close those black boxes, it doesn't crash or anything. But that's the next time that you want to run the same command, it just doesn't do anything. So it stops communicating with you. So better to leave them open. There shouldn't be more than 2 or 3, maximum 3 of those, I think. So it doesn't continuously multiply the window count. So if there happens to be those, then just leave them be. They should close when you close Tekla, but as you said, after that you can close them. And if you were to close those while using Tekla, you need to, I think, restart Tekla to get it working again.
Yeah, it's like going to the nature. You can watch them, but don't touch them.
Pretty much.
So, Juha, do you have any more tips about what else we can, if we have any kind of like error, then how to find the problem of error, or how can we solve ourselves besides what we have talked?
If you have the Trimble ID on the valid maintenance, you might want to visit the discussion forum also. There are quite a lot of Tekla experts around the world, and the discussion forum, in some parts of it, it's really active. So if you throw your question there already, you might get the answer also really quickly.
Talking about this kind of like Tekla, and when we are having different kind of errors, then sometimes it can be of course, as we know, it can be the user, it can be the hardware, or it can be the software. So what kind of, I know Tekla has the official hardware recommendations on some their support files or somewhere, but what would you say, what are your hardware and the software recommendations?
Well, I'm not that much of an IT geek, so I would have some personal setup. So yeah, I think the hardware recommendations, it might be the most popular article in the support. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, type hardware recommendations on Tekla and you'll get it. And don't go with the minimum. And well, you don't need to have the maximum perfect computer for it, but I would definitely recommend that check them carefully. There's the table, but there's also it has the recommendation article. It has increased and gone into more details every year, I think. And I think reading the whole article, read it carefully. If you don't understand it, go to the place, the company where you can, these are the recommendations. What kind of a computer should I have? But of course, if they're trying to sell you some kind of a gaming computer with God knows how many threads, the multi-cores. That's probably not the right one. So if you have a chance to run Tekla on a computer, well, try it. There's in warehouse, I think there's a Tekla Mark testing software also. So it's running your graphic cards and CPU and those, and you can post it also to the discussion forum, not like publicly post, but you can get a reference how does your computer set up, how does it compare to in the ranking. And also, as well, we are not IT geeks, so there in the user assistance, there is a really great article for normal people. It's about the Tekla and its capability to use single or multi-core processors. Well, as you might know, that Tekla is rather oldish, or I don't want to use old, but long developed software, and I think it is focused on the idea that it's really streamlined work with like single core.
Yeah, we will add these links to the article, the podcast article episode, and also YouTube video down there. We should have.
We have the long listing there. And actually, regarding the recommendation still, that keep your computer updated with Windows. Of course, occasionally the Windows might update itself without telling you, but usually if you have it really old, then it's really not good one. And if you're really IT geek or talented with IT, of course, I'm telling you to update with Windows, but consider Googling about the comments of the latest update, for example. And I know that the Windows 10 update 1809, so it's like 2018 autumn update. It was widely, not just our clients, but it was widely globally considered quite unsuccessful update. It was causing a lot of problems with all kinds of softwares throughout the world.
Juha, I know that you are yourself also a really good Tekla user, as you have been working in Tekla quite many years, more than 10, even 13, and you have given different kind of trainings for different companies. What would you say that about using the Tekla if we step out from the problems and having the Tekla errors, then what would be the rookie mistakes? You mentioned these different selection switches, using the components, objects in components, assemblies, and parts in assemblies. I know it's really important to understand and use them correctly. What would you say? What are some more rookie mistakes that you have noticed that the people are doing and you suggest not to do?
Well, that's just rookie mistakes, or how do you want to call this? But important ones not to make is that you would be using incorrect Tekla structures version of the environment to start with. And well, we have the separate tools for creating the steel objects and the concrete objects. Try not to mix those. So create steel with steel and vice versa. And kind of be careful when you're picking points. You have the possibility to create clip lanes and creating proper section and plane views. And if you need, you can hide the objects. But if you're in the beginning of your Tekla career, tilt it so that you know where you're picking the points. They have been improving the snapping or picking point. It has been improved quite a lot. but it might easily lead that your beams and columns, they are not where you're planning them to be. So you will start modeling. You should start modeling kind of precisely already. If you put them in wrong angles, they are, well, you will never get them right after that. And one thing, it's not a rookie mistake, but it's really important to make sure that you have, is that you have the common rules in your project. You have the common rules, how to name it, how to have the objects, they have the classes, these affect all affect numbering, and you need to have those settings properly in line. Otherwise, well, if you model just something, you get nothing useful out. So it's really important to have these. And also, if there are several engineers working, try to make sure that you know which area or which structures you're working with, and you can lead into situation that you're modifying the same objects. So that doesn't. There's only losers on that game, unfortunately. And maybe, of course, it's good to start modeling kind of manually, so not using components, but don't just stick there. Start using the components and saving those and making your work more efficient. So kind of start first with the walking manual or normal tools, and then start using the components and all these mass editing possibilities that we have. And so you kind of start running. And kind of even if you're a kind of a experienced one, and don't think that, so if you don't think, well, kind of put it this way: ask assistance if you need, and it's not a bad thing to ask assistance, whether it's your colleague, a friend of yours, or even the official support. We are there to help you. And well, this might be not the user's error itself, but it might be the boss's decision that, hey, you can learn it while doing this. So get a training. If you're really newbie, get a training, whether it's in class, whether it's online, whether it's paid or free, but it's good place to start. So you will start doing the things in correct way. We have plenty of resources, and then I know that you're providing the trainings and material online also. And Trimble has also this learn.trimble.com address. That's the place to go. We are publishing there more and more material, and I think there is a hefty package already. Well, it's designed and focused firstly mainly on the steel detailing, but of course there is a lot of valid material for everybody. But learn.trimble.com, sign in with your Trimble ID. I think you can type Tekla if you need, and there will be plenty of trainings for there. But it's like a really wide range of trainings. Or campus.tekla.com. That's also a valid place to start. And well, I've been promoting now this YouTube channel, Tekla Software. That's the official channel for us, and I've been promoting it even for our most common or most familiar clients, and you have this one, this is really good. So it's not really, maybe it's not teaching you, but it's giving you features, and they are telling you that on those, we have the videos in, well, there are quite a few of those are English, luckily. They are also other languages there too, but they are these new features and all these technical videos, short ones, long ones. I really like those, what I've been watching, not just our production, but also the UK, India, and HQ. They are doing a good job. And well, if I was to understand France and German, I would like their products, their software, their videos too. But unfortunately, I'm not that skilled with those languages.
Yeah, about the trainings, I have done this. This one article was, I think, 11 different ways or different places where to learn Tekla structures, and most of them are for free, and there are links also. So I would suggest there, because there are a lot of people in social media, in YouTube, who are posting really useful videos, and even if sometimes they are from Asia and I don't understand nothing, then I'm still watching and say, okay, I don't understand what he's telling, but I can see, and then I get the point to what they're doing. Some are better, some are not so good, but worth of keeping eye and watching and learning.
Yeah.
You mentioned about
consider adding this learntrimble.com. It's brand new or really new, so it's add it as a 12 or put it in the top of the list.
Yes, when it's this, I promise that when this episode is out, this link will be, or this will be also listed there.
That's good.
About the snapping that you mentioned, I would add that it's you mentioned very well that don't snap somewhere randomly to the air. The biggest problem is that when people are snapping to the air, and in this case, some useful tip is to use the solid surfaces, because then you can't snap through of the objects, and picking the edges or corners is what I normally aim for. Like when it's wall or some plate and snapping in the middle of the wall, it's a little bit more complicated sometimes, but the edges and the corners are good places to snap.
Yeah.
And this modeling rules is really useful when somebody invites me to improve the localization of company level. Then always my first question is, can I see your modeling rules and your what template model what you have so far? And sometimes there has been answer that modeling rules, we don't have these things, but I ask how are you working with Tekla? We somehow manage, and everybody can think what they do. But yes, this is I would say also number one where to start if you are localizing or doing anything with your Tekla structures, want to run the Tekla, then modeling rules. Most probably I will give someday out mine, like I'm putting them together and giving to my clients or who are contacted. So who is struggling with, I can share mine also. But I know that in Finland there was this PEC project. If you Google again PEC, then there is you will find this, and it's in English also. You don't need to know Finnish language, and there are some guidelines, really valid guidelines. And for example, we know that embeds are class 100, and don't put there something else.
But yes, you mentioned the Beck project, so that's really good. I really like that is an example of the industry, working together. There's the biggest contractors, not contractors, but engineering offices and these manufacturers, Consolis and the others. They are working there, and they are just kind of a common push to improve the level of concrete modeling and engineering. So it makes these models much more useful for these manufacturing companies. And we have actually in Finnish environment. So if you have installed the Finland environment, you can go to the folder, and there is the numbering recommendation. So I guess it's numero, and this was PDF, and that's the base for the all Finnish engineering offices. So if they don't have some bigger companies telling them that, okay, you're now working in our project, so these are our instructions to go. So you can start, for example, with the Finnish. Well, it's not an example, it's a base. It was created quite a few years ago. It's not complete. the companies have developed it further. But that's a kind of an example to And actually, there's a Estonian localization package in warehouse. I'm not sure if it contains actually the numbering recommendations, but definitely that's a good thing to start with if you're really in the beginning of your Tekla career.
Yeah, we are right now. We will look the Finnish package, and this is something that depends of the area where the listener is from. So if this, for example, precast manufacturing or this level is not that high, as in Nordic countries, it's quite heavily done, and I know Estonia is next to Finland, and then we have many times done in different areas. We see that okay, where Finns are couple of steps forward of us, then we look like okay, how they have solved this situation, then modify or localize this for ourselves and use it. So you don't wherever you are from, you don't need to start inventing the wheel from the zero. Just use the like top experts knowledge and then localize it to your market or to your needs.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, you said it well. I think I could add actually still. Well, if it's a rookie mistake or just good thing to keep in mind that when you start a project, define the coordinate systems everybody's working. So the land surveyors, structural engineers, and architects, probably you are using different coordinates. So make sure that everybody knows what coordinate system they are using. And well, in Tekla, it's recommended that we would be staying close to the origo, not going kilometers away from it, maybe a couple of hundred meters, why not? But stay around the origo. It helps keeping the software doing the calculations. It helps them keeping those really precise and fast. And if you need, and when you need to, of course, interoperate with the other softwares or other design disciplines, use the base point feature if needed. So you can import their, well, not import, but bring their reference models to yours easily with this one. And of course, you can use it to send your IFCs for the others. So that's really good.
Yeah, talking about working with others, and I remembered also somehow the locking your grids and references. This is something that I have seen also in middle of the project by mistake. You want to move some things and you move the grid lines, or you move the references. So once they are fixed, then I recommend to lock them to the place.
Yeah.
Juha, do you have any? We have talked about the different measures, how to like mistakes or how to raise the quality, not to do the mistakes, but do you have any suggestions also? How can we get the things done faster, more efficiently with Tekla?
Well, maybe to start with, in general, if you make your model size smaller and more organized, it increases the performance of Tekla. And there's a long list of articles in support.tekla.com. If you type the performance word there, it will give you a long list, and they are updated. So there are nitty-gritty details that you can improve your Tekla running faster. And well, if you have used this OpenGL graphics, start well with the latest versions 2020 and 2021 onwards. Well, use DirectX rendering. It has improved a lot. It is more effective nowadays than the OpenGL. And these if you have several graphic cards, select the correct ones. We have the articles, how to do that, how to check it, and kind of use reasonable precision when you're modeling, for example, the round shapes. Tekla doesn't. We don't do round or circular things, objects. They are always built from the tiny segments. So consider if you need to have 10 segments or versus 100 segments, it already 10. It's a tenfold what the math is done there behind. And well, maybe with the really heavy drawings, if it's really artistic, really big GA drawing, there are a couple of ones that the XSU Smart Pen, it can help to make the zooming and bamming, moving the picture, the drawing faster. And if you have still on the drawings, using the small view depth or view depth, that don't have it like really long. So even if there's some objects are hidden behind the others completely, they are still kind of processed despite they're not shown on the drawing. So consider having those, focus having those in a reasonable depth, so not having too much. And of course, if there's a bounding box is valid for your drawing, use that. It's faster to process that one, that representation. And maybe, I've actually, these are picked up during the years, some senior experts tips. I don't know. Well, they have learned it during the years, their own ways of, but kind of a quite simple, even how you're working is that if you're going through a drawing and you're seeing if everything is there valid, and check the whole drawing and then make notes of the needed changes. Okay, this needs to be changed and this is not right, and there's a cut missing and so on. So don't open a drawing, find one fix and go back to the modeling side, fix it and go back. It takes time to change the model, the model drawing view. So go through the drawing and then you have a list of things to check, things to change, and go back to the modeling side and change those. And well, the other one is kind of a workaround, but if the numbering takes a long time, this was my favorite, but so if numbering takes a long time and you're creating a element drawing, so start creating a GA drawing out of it and make sure that everything is looking there good, and only then run the numbering and create the CU drawing. So it's kind of you don't need to have the numbering up to date with the GA drawing. So you can just isolate the element and create a GA drawing out of it and play with that one. So it's going to really work around. And of course, learn to use the components and save those settings. That's the really basic steps when you start from walking, you start jogging or start running. Don't do those always manually, and of course plan the settings that you're doing, but start reusing the material that you already have. And well, nitty-gritty, but keyboard shortcuts, if you don't know them, there are cheat sheets available, and of course you can define your own favorites, what your most common commands that you're using. You can have those combinations. It's there. And well, I think I mentioned already Origo. I'm not sure if it's making it faster, but anyhow, it's making more reliable working close to Origo and using the base point. And well, the latest feature that I want to actually highlight here is the batch editor. It's one of the 2021 version onwards. There are a couple of really great videos, and of course plenty of other documentation already available. But I'm really excited about that one. Just like an example to mention, making it the mass editing much faster and also reliable, trying to minimize the human error possibility.
About these general arrangement drawings versus cast unit drawings, then I would want to bring out that if you're doing smaller objects, for example, like pad footings, then it's okay to do the cast unit drawing and finalize for the pad footings the cast unit drawings. It's if you want, if it's like you want to show them as a separate units and give for these units a separate drawing out. But if you are doing a bigger areas, for example, if you have a cast in place wall or big area, or I know one of my customers had a really big floor, or this like slab on ground floor, and it was also all cast in place, and he was thinking that, oh yeah, it could be also that I make a cast unit drawing or this shop drawing about this one slab. Then at one moment it went quite slowly and he was wondering like why it's so slow. And then I suggested that let's try when we are doing a cast unit drawing. General arrangement drawing about this big slab, and then the same things, same measures, everything same, it went quite much faster. So if you're doing a small scale objects, this kind of like one element, one pad footing, something small, then the shop drawings or cast unit assembly drawings are really good. But if you're having a bigger areas to cover and there's a lot of objects, then I have noticed that it's better to do general arrangement drawings.
Yeah.
And the last question that I ask from everybody, what do you think that where BIM generally going, or what brings the future in construction? I don't know. I know that you can't tell very much about what will bring Tekla because you can't give the promises. But what do you think where it goes and inside Tekla, or if there are no any ideas that you can share, then tell me what you think where goes January also, what future brings, and where we are going with construction also outside of our engineering offices.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not famous for my visionary skills, but I'm quite confident, even general level, that the computers are getting smarter, and the machine learning and this artificial intelligence, even our what is it? Our laundry machine, it has the AI, so it's kind of checking something with the dirty clothes, and when it's washing them, and it's doing something, I don't know. But anyhow, these artificial intelligence and stuff, they will help engineers they don't need to do that much, so they will have less manual repetition. So if you have done several similar structures, eventually they will start suggesting that, hey, this is the similar thing that you have done already. So it's kind of a suggesting. I saw it was some online forum 2020, and I saw clients presenting their own that they had already, that they got like 60% of the basic steel frame structures already detailed just by clicking. Well, of course they had the general structure there, but they were detailing 60% of it just like with the one button click. So engineers will start facing more advanced problems. So, but of course that increases the productivity. That okay, we can leave this repetition less. So we will take the step on that forward. And of course in BIM, modeling the information itself, not just the structures, but the adding the information to this common, not just one model, but the common project. But you're adding your own information then, and then if you're manufacturing it, you can collect the information from the engineers, and then you can add the information about their status. This is actually, of course, right now already, but you can add the status information there, and then the site can use the material already in advance, and they can start planning their work well in advance. And all these kind of a new trades will start, or we can find ways that even the new trades can use information available in these projects. And of course, I mentioned already that the building sites, they are starting to use more and more information, and of course they will add information there. But this is the stuff that we have seen already. It is just the beginning. It will, I don't know, let's say that in 5 to 10 years, hopefully it's every day that their sites are using it heavily. I know the construction industry is not famous for its innovations and stuff, but hopefully that will change, and we will start finding a new industries that we can mock, that they haven't invented anything new than since. And that, of course, that's not entirely true. That would be dishonest for all the innovations done throughout the years. And I would think that the life cycle thinking itself in the projects, I don't think that the BIM, so-called BIM models, they haven't reached the age of renovations, heavy renovations yet. I hope in a way that there hasn't been a need for that, but eventually when the buildings will reach a certain age, there will be a need bigger renovations, and then there will be these models available. And of course, I've heard that, okay, we are planning to do this and this, but once the volume of the projects, they will, the renovation projects, they will have these kind of a new current day information available, then I'm confident that there will be quite a lot of new innovations and development at that time, that, hey, we can use it this way. And also, of course, then this information will be brought to that day's projects that are designed. I'm confident there's a lot of new stuff invented at that time. And of course, this is already now happening, that all the environmental effects and stuff, that considering these and calculating the options, and this will break heavily into BIM world, and there will be a huge boost for all these kind of BIM models. And I don't know if I had a good innovation and the solution already at my hand, I don't know what would I do, but I'm confident that there will be this area, and also will be big in coming years.
Yeah. Thank you, Juha, for your interview. Do you have any last comments or recommendations?
Always stay with this kind of a curiosity in your mind, and kind of be humble also, that, okay, your stuff right now, tomorrow it might be useful to know it, even the new tools. It's always, I don't think engineer or whoever is listening, I don't think that we have reached the, we haven't, if we think we have reached the potential, thinking again, being humble and looking always the next steps, and that kind of a eagerness to learn new stuff, that brings joy also to the working. despite the heavy timetables and these kind of project realities that we are facing every day also.
Thank you guys for staying with us for so long time. It went definitely over time and longer than we were planning. At first, when I contacted with Juha and I was talking, then he said that, Sten, I'm not used to having these interviews, and I was thinking myself, probably it will go really short interview, and we have to see if we get our 1 hour like length of the interview, but happened what happened, and we went almost I think double of the time that we were planning. But anyways, I think it was very good content. Thank you for Juha, and thank you guys for you staying with us. I hope you will get less and less Tekla errors. You know how to a little bit protect yourself better with different backups, and how to solve these errors yourself, or how to avoid them. If you have any problems, then most probably you will not contact directly to Juha. You should contact with your local support, and if needed, then they will contact with the Trimble HQ. And I recommend to follow different social media groups. Trimble has also Facebook groups and something in LinkedIn, so go and follow them to get the latest news. And if you like this kind of, if you like this episode and would like to get more of notification and information about this kind of podcast episodes, interviews, or other kind of useful Tekla information, then follow us in YouTube, in Facebook, and in LinkedIn. LinkedIn, my personal account, is maybe reasonable. And check out our webpage, tsky.eu. Meanwhile, take care, and take care of your models also. Yes. That's it. Over.